All right, so before I pass out, we're going to hit on something that I'm fairly certain a lot of people are going to have questions about, which is particularly this scene where we see someone catch a lightning bolt and he turns around and he proclaims himself before the masses. Now, this person in particular is Zeus, and what you are essentially seeing is Olympus and the Olympians. If you've been watching Moon Knight, Khonshu makes reference to the fact that the gods have essentially left and abandoned Earth, and they're living a life of decadence and luxury in the opulence of the Overvoid. Now, what the Overvoid essentially is, it is a location known as the Heliopolis. It's a god-created city that is supposed to mimic a city back on Earth. And the Heliopolis typically looks like this, where you have these golden pathways and these boats and ships that are flying in the sky. Now, we've seen references already to the fact that there are these boats, like in the background up here. Earlier on in the trailer, literally right before Zeus pops up, not with, right here, where Thor is essentially on these ships out at sea. He's in the Heliopolis, where all of the other gods essentially reside. Now, we also see another hint to this during this flyover scene with this ship flying towards Earth, but also again during this scene right before, where Thor is standing on the deck of a ship and he's using Stormbreaker to create a path of the Bifrost in order to go where he needs to go. Later on, we get a better shot of the city. That's New Asgard. We get this shot of the city where you see the statue of Zeus with the lightning bolt in the background. And if you look on off the sides of the bridge, you see that the city is essentially floating on islands in the clouds with water falling off. It basically looks a little bit more like this, which this is the Olympus quarter of the Heliopolis. But for the most part, the Heliopolis would look something along the lines of this, with the islands floating in the background and the boats and ships flying back and forth. Now, the question you probably ask yourself is whether or not this location that we see Zeus in is the exact same location that Khonshu talks about in regards to the Egyptian gods. Yes. This picture right here that I'm using is the main Heliopolis area. It's where the Egyptian gods reside. The Olympian gods reside in another area. Basically, the area is known as the God Realms, where all of Earth gods essentially have these giant plateaus that are kind of like Asgard, that are interconnected with one another so that they could go from, let's say, the Egyptian god area to the Olympian god area to the Native American, or the Native American god area to the Chinese, Japanese gods area. So we are getting more of the God Realms, and I'm super excited. But basically, we're seeing the God Realms here in their perfect and pristine condition, and the very next shot lets us know what's about to happen with that realm. Or should I say, was that the shot before? It was a shot before. After we see Zeus, the very next shot shows us a giant dead creature. Gore. Gore's coming. He's going to land in the God Realms. He's just going to start killing everyone because he has beef with the gods. He feels as though the gods abandoned their charges and were more concerned about, like I said, living in opulence and decadence than they were serving their mortals, or the people from their the race that they originated from. Because we're not only going to see I was about to say American gods, we're not only going to see earthly gods like the Egyptians and the Olympians, we're also going to see other pantheons that exist in space, spread out across the entirety of the god realms of the Heliopolis, and I'm super excited. I think it's going to be super dope, where we're going to be getting some answers about how the gods essentially ignored their charges, their worlds, when Thanos snapped away half of life, when they could have intervened and stopped him and killed him. But then we're also going to see just how lazy and complacent and shitty they've essentially become over the years of living in opulence and decadence inside of the Overvoid. But yeah, that was indeed Zeus that we saw in the Thor Love and Thunder trailer. I cannot wait. I definitely know there's going to be beef between Thor and Zeus because of the whole lightning thing. But I'm super excited, and I'm gonna go take some more NyQuil. Peace.